What's going on, Jerome's? Your Minnesota Vikings have been doing the due diligence to find their quarterback of the future. Adofo-mensah, Kevin O'Connell, quarterbacks coach Josh McCown, making the rounds, pro days as well as private meetings, and reportedly, there have been four of the top flight quarterbacks in this year's class that the Vikings have had private workouts with. This is from Burt Breer over at the Monday Morning Quarterback. I really like the approach the Minnesota Vikings have taken to studying the quarterback class. You might have noticed over the past couple of weeks that Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell and GM Adofo-mensah were absent from the big quarterback pro days, which seemed to fly in the face of the aggressive approach that they took to position themselves for a trade up after the move with the Texans in mid-March. The reality, Vikings were just allocating resources in a different way. That's why I respect about Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi. Rather than go to the cattle calls that pro days often become, Minnesota dispatched quarterbacks coaches Josh McCown and Grant Udinski to those, and then rolled out a larger group for a 3-day whirlwind tour to work out quarterbacks privately. The itinerary included stops in Chapel Hill to meet Maye, Ann Arbor to get with JJ McCarthy, Seattle to put Penix through the paces, and Eugene to see Bo Nix. In each case, the Minnesota contingent with Adofo-mensah, O'Connell, and McCown heading up the travel party had extensive meeting time with the quarterbacks before taking them out on the field. The field work included the coaches and players applying what they have been taught in the classroom, and then the ability to put what they could explain between the lines, which is great, and it's extremely smart, and it is really more efficient and really is more custom tailored to what the Vikings want to do versus the pro days. Like, hey, oh, look at these scripted plays. They're throwing to his guys and and just meeting him afterwards. Like, hey, how'd you do that? But in terms of, I love that they're doing in-classroom stuff where they can break down specifically what they're going to be asked to do here with the Vikings in O'Connell's offense, and then going out and translating on the field. It's basically Gruden's QB camp, except for minus the cameras and all that stuff. Here, this guy, blah, blah. I love the approach that they're going about here. And we had already seen reports that the Vikings had done work with JJ McCarthy as well as with Michael Penix. So the Maye and the Bo Nix workouts are news. So, the Vikings wrap things up in one 3-day swing, and I do like that the Vikings are going about it in this manner. So now they have a lot to chew on, and they're going to congregate at TCO, and then they're going to go from there and see what happens. So right now the Vikings have met with a gaggle of the top quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, probably don't have to meet with Caleb Williams, and reportedly, They tried to get a meeting with Jane Daniels, but again, reportedly, it was his camp that decided to pass. And I understand it from Daniels' point of view, where, hey, if he has already been assured by Washington that he's going to be going too, I mean, it's kind of a waste of time, right? Now, the Vikings could certainly trade all up in there, sure, but if he's locked in at 2, there's really no way for the Vikings to box anyone out and get up there since Williams is locked in at 1. So the Vikings doing that work. Now, I love me some Maye. The gamble is certainly there. McCown was also at Maye's pro day. McCarthy, you understand what he can do in this offense, and he can grow and show from that regard. Penix is a wild card because some teams may have him off the board because of the medicals, but in terms of arm talent, in terms of throwing it with anticipation, I mean, there's a lot to like there. And Nix, like I've expressed my reservations about Bo Nix, but he's a tough, feisty competitor, and if they can build an offense specifically tailored to what he can do, I think that it could potentially work out if they deem that he is indeed the guy. And I like that the Vikings are basically they're covering all their bases, right? So if they're able to trade up into the stratosphere for Maye or McCarthy, that's great. If they have to stick and pick at 11 or a small trade up for Penix, that's awesome. Or if Bo Nix is going to be in the mix in the first round, they do have those options as well with 11 and 23. So I understand that this process is slow and excruciating, but I do think that the Vikings will ultimately find their guy, and it's very good to, like Kevin O'Connell said, to love multiple prospects. I think that's what the Vikings are doing with quarterbacks right now, and how there could still be feints, like there could still be smoke screens, that there could still be something else, but if the Vikings are relatively even on a couple of these quarterback prospects, and then they happen to land one of them, hopefully at either the picks 11, 23 or a trade up that is suitable to their price. I mean, of course, they're going to be like, we got our guy. This is the guy we want all along at the introductory press conference. But It's funny, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Report that the Vikings have met with 4 of the top quarterbacks in this draft class for private workouts. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. You guys know what to do. Skull, production value.